The anime starts with a boy named Sakamoto Takuma, where he says he spends his time playing a game called Cross Reverie. In the game, he is a very powerful demon king, but in real life, he is an outcast. However, for some reason, Sakamoto is transported to the game world and wakes up with a kiss from two girls. Sakamoto thinks it's a dream, but the two girls say they summoned him there to be their slave. Unintentionally, Sakamoto's words turn the two girls into his slaves instead. Later, Sakamoto concludes that he was transported to the game world and he's using his in-game avatar. The blonde girl introduces herself as Shera, wanting to be an adventurer, and the other girl is named Rem, a half-human half-leopard. They arrive in the city and stay at an inn attended by an idle girl named Mie. The girls argue about who will share a room with Diablo, but Mie tells them to either reserve a room or leave. Eventually, the three end up sharing a room. However, Celestine Baudelaire, the leader of the city's mages, arrives. Celestine says she came because she had unfinished business with Ren. After they tell her what happened, Celestine, also known as Celes, asks if Diablo, the Demon King, can undo what he did to free them. Diablo says he can't and that he didn't enslave them on purpose. If he could, he would have already freed them. Ren tells Celes that she doesn't want to go to the mage's headquarters and doesn't need a bodyguard. Celes insists she's just trying to help, but Ren insists she can take care of herself. Celes leaves, and Diablo asks Ren why the leader of the mages would come looking for her, suspecting she's hiding something important. Ren denies it. Diablo takes Ren to a room to interrogate her, promising not to abandon her if she reveals her secret. Ren eventually confesses that she has the soul of a demon lord named Krebskulm within her, which can only be released when she dies. Diablo promises to kill Krebskulm for her, but for now, they need to find a way to separate them without killing her. Later, Diablo is alone in the city at night when guards from Celes appear. Diablo dismisses the guard, and a man summons a dragon to attack him. Diablo easily withstands the attack and reveals he's level 150. The man doesn't believe anyone could have such a high level and Diablo kills the dragon. The man asks who Diablo is, and he introduces himself as the Demon King. The next day, Diablo wakes up in bed with Ren and Shera. Later, they go to the city to join the Adventurers Guild. They measure everyone's levels. Shera is level 30, Ren is level 40. When they try to measure Diablo's power, he almost destroys the measuring device. Sylvie, the leader of the adventurers, calls Diablo to talk to him. She notes that he's very strong but the measuring device overloaded, preventing her from determining his level. She asks if he'll accept being an adventurer, and Diablo agrees as long as he's paid well. Sylvie welcomes him to the Adventurers Guild and gives him a mission to defeat a serpent in the forest. As they head there, Shera detects elves, and Diablo asks where they are. Shera tells him their location, and Diablo destroys the trees where the elves were hiding. The elves appear and say they want to take Shera because she's the princess of their country. They believe Diablo has kidnapped her. Diablo states he's not a slaver, but the elf points out the collars that Ren and Shera wear, implying otherwise. Shera explains that she doesn't care about the royal family since they only want her to have a child and then get rid of her. The elf insists they'll take her by force. Diablo asserts he's not a slaver, he's a sorcerer, and that Shera isn't weak since she has him as a companion. The worst thing they did was making him their enemy. The elf orders his archers to shoot Diablo with arrows, but they bounce off his body. The elf fires an icy arrow at Diablo, but it doesn't harm him. The elf asks what Diablo is, and he responds that he's the Demon King from another world who froze the entire forest. The mage Diablo defeated earlier in the city appears, revealing he informed the elves that Diablo had kidnapped Shera. Shera tells the elves that she won't return to her country because she now has her two companions. Later, they return home. Shera and Diablo are alone in the room. Shera compliments his magic, and Diablo explains that he comes from a world where leveling up is efficient. He expresses doubt about defeating the demon within Ren. Shera reassures him that if he defeats that demon, she'll choose him. She confesses that she needs him too. Diablo promises to protect her as well. Shera gets close, and Diablo tries to move away, accidentally touching her breasts. Ren enters, sees them, and hits Diablo. The next day, Celestine assigns them a mission, but Ren doesn't want to go to avoid owing anything to Celes. Diablo and Shera have to deliver food to soldiers. Before they leave, an adventurer named Emily appears and wants to fight Diablo to free Ren and Shera. Diablo remembers the situation is similar to the game and gets excited. Emily attacks Diablo, who easily blocks the attack. Emily attempts her most powerful attack, but it takes too long to charge, and Diablo defeats him. Emily stands and claims he won't lose to Diablo. Ren and Shera explain the purpose of their collars, and Emily apologizes for the misunderstanding before leaving. Later, Diablo and Shera bring food to the soldiers. The soldiers are initially suspicious of Diablo due to his horns, but one soldier recognizes him as the demon everyone talks about, not a fallen one. The soldiers inform him that a fallen army plans to attack the kingdom. Diablo agrees to help protect the kingdom. Later, the leader of the Fallens, Edelgar, appears. Diablo tells his allies to go inside so he can use his magic freely. Diablo fights the Fallens and defeats Edelgar, who survives but is left barely clothed. Diablo uses a return spell with Shera, and they disappear, reappearing in the kingdom. Emily was severely injured, and Diablo attacks the Fallen. Diablo gives Celestine a healing potion to give to Emily. Diablo attacks the Fallen using reflective magic, telling him that he's still not using his true magic. The Fallen uses gravity magic against Diablo, but Diablo returns it multiplied, and the Fallen begs for his life, admitting he'll leave the city. Diablo tells him that no matter how much he begs, he won't be forgiven for killing many in the kingdom. Diablo seals the Fallen in a dimension of darkness for eternity. Shera and Ren embrace Diablo to thank him for saving them. Diablo faints from using too much mana and later wakes up in his bed. Shera jumps on him, but Ren appears, pushes Shera away, and warns her not to get too close to Diablo. Sylvie arrives and tells them that Shera's kingdom has ordered her return within 10 days, otherwise, they will go to war. Sylvie explains their mission is to prevent the impending war. To stop the war, Diablo has to talk to the kingdom's most powerful hero, Galford. Galford grants Diablo permission to stop the war and provides him a companion, a warrior named Alicia. Later, they attempt to kidnap Shera, but Diablo manages to rescue her with Emily's help. The next day, they visit a slave shop to see if they can remove the collars from Shera and Ren. They meet a woman who teaches them a method, but ultimately fail to remove the collars. However, Diablo learns the skill to nullify magic. While about to go to sleep, Shera's brother arrives, telling her to come with him. Diablo realizes he's the one who offered a reward for her, and Shera's brother leaves. Later, he's shown playing a flute and expressing his disturbing desires regarding Shera. The next day, Diablo is making potions with Shera when they hear the sound of a flute. Shera informs Diablo that she's returning to her country. Diablo doesn't understand what's happening and watches Shera leave with her brother. Diablo gets upset, but Ren convinces him to rescue Shera. They find Shera with her brother, who reveals he used the flute to control her. When he attempts to abuse Shera, Diablo appears and claims he destroyed the entire elf army. Shera's brother warns Diablo that this action might lead to an international conflict and war. He uses his powers to manipulate Shera, but she manages to break free. The brother challenges Diablo, who accepts and defeats him. The brother tries to escape, but Galford arrives and kills him. It's revealed that Galford orchestrated the conflict to start a war against the elves. He also wanted to kill Shera, but Diablo intervenes. Galford tries to trap Diablo with his magic, but Diablo uses his nullification magic to escape. Diablo and Galford engage in a difficult battle, but Diablo wins, forcing Galford to retreat. Later, Diablo is in bed recovering, and Sylvie gives him alcohol to help him recover. However, Diablo gets drunk quickly. Later, Ren, Shera, and Diablo spend the day in the forest. Shera suggests bathing in the river, but Edelgard appears, saying she's not there to fight but to talk. She reveals her intention to kill the demons sealed within Ren. Diablo warns her that it could kill Ren, but Edelgard claims she knows a ritual to release the demon lord without killing Ren. Diablo agrees, and Edelgard tells him to meet her in a tower in 3 days at midnight. Later, Alicia tells Diablo about a swordsman named Saddler who believes himself to be the son of God and is looking for non-believers. Eventually, Diablo encounters Saddler, who tortures Ren due to his hatred for half-humans. Saddler claims that God is punishing him, but Diablo calls it a deception, stating Saddler is using a simple spell. Saddler calls Diablo blasphemous and attempts to turn him into stone, but Diablo uses his mirror magic to reflect the spell, turning Saddler into stone. That night, they head to the tower to start the ritual. Diablo has to do the same thing he did with Shera before, but this time must delve into Ren's depths to free her from the Demon Queen. Diablo successfully liberates the Demon Queen, who initially appeared as a giant demon but turns out to be a regular girl. Diablo states it's not what he expected but he'll defeat her. The Demon Queen threatens to kill him but hesitates, as she can't remember how to fight or why she killed mortals. Ren and Shera plead with her not to keep killing, and the Demon Queen agrees, as she can't remember why she did it. She expresses hunger, and Shera gives her cookies that she enjoys. Later, Diablo spends the night with Shera and the Demon Queen, while Ren and Alicia stay in the adjacent room. Alicia mentions that she must guide the Demon Queen to fulfill her role as queen. Later, Diablo realizes that Ren and the Demon Queen are missing. Alicia had taken them to the sorcerer Saddler, who had recovered from Diablo's spell. Saddler wants to torture Ren for blasphemy and plans to cut her ears off. Saddler tries to kill Clem, but Ren sacrifices herself. Saddler impales Ren with 6 swords, and Clem, fueled by rage, unleashes her true Demon Queen power, killing Saddler. Outside, a fallen army waits for the barrier to break to attack the kingdom. It's revealed that Alicia was working for Edelgard. Diablo and Shera arrive, using medicine to save Ren. Diablo weakens Clem, and when she sees Ren alive, she calms down, transforming into a childlike version. The Fallens realize Alicia's plan failed and decide to kill Clem before escaping the kingdom. Sylvie tells Diablo that Clem's identity is known, and they might search for her to imprison or kill her. Diablo decides to make Clem his slave to protect her. Clem agrees, and they form a pact. Later, Diablo feels drained of his mana. The girls undress to help him recover, but Diablo faints before anything happens, ending the first season. Starting with season 2, 2 girls are seen running in the forest, chased by a swordsman. The swordsman summons a hunter worm, capturing one of the girls. Later, Shera and Ren are with Diablo. Diablo wants to try a new spell and makes a log fly. Diablo lands on a mushroom and sees a light coming from the forest. As the spell ends, he falls onto the mushroom, spotting a girl who thinks he's a god. The swordsman present scolds Diablo for killing his mushroom. Diablo tries to explain that he's not a god, but the girl insists. The swordsman gets angry and threatens them both. He summons a hunter worm, and Diablo uses an ice spell to kill the worms and defeat the swordsman. Later, Diablo takes the girl to the city. Ren and Shera are relieved that the girl recovered. Shera tells her that Diablo is not a god. The girl says that if he's not a god, it's a problem because only her future husband should see her naked, and if Diablo isn't a god, he should marry her. Diablo appears and asks who she is. The girl introduces herself as a priestess from a church called Lumashina. She explains why a swordsman was after Diablo, who was actually an assassin hired by Vishos. She believes they want to kill her because high-ranking members of the church are committing massive acts of corruption. She asks Diablo for help in ending the corruption within the church, and Diablo agrees to assist her. Later, they embark on a journey to a distant village to find a high-ranking church official. They reach the village, and Diablo meets a girl named Horn. She tells Diablo about a dungeon, and he realizes it's the same one from the game he played. Diablo realizes that Lumashina has already gotten into trouble with a guard from the village. Lumashina tries to stop the guard from harassing a woman and her child, but the guard attempts to hit her. Diablo intervenes with his magic and sends the guard flying. The woman asks them to heal her baby, and Diablo learns the baby has crosses on its body, a disease called clamor. Ren asks how to cure it, and the woman explains that only a church priest can do it. Lumashina suggests going to the church, but the woman says they can't afford it. Horn adds that the church demands a large sum of money for help. Lumashina, being a priestess, cures the baby. Later, a sand whale appears. Diablo tries to stop it but is only partially successful. 2 mysterious individuals arrive and defeat the sand whale. An old man appears, who turns out to be Batuta, the leader of the paladins. Lumashina asks what the Paladin Brigade is, and a guard tries to hit her, but Batuta stops him. He introduces himself to Lumashina and mentions the last time he saw her, she was a child. Another mysterious figure, a woman in a red cloak, appears. She introduces herself as Fani's Laminitus. She's looking for the one who cast the spell on the sand whale. Batuta informs her that he's also searching for that person and that he left already. Laminitus leaves to find him. Later, Batuta provides them with food and a place to stay. Diablo is bathing, and Shera accidentally enters, leading to them bathing together. Later, while Diablo and Shera bathe, Batuta kidnaps Lumashina and Ren. Horn informs Diablo that they've taken Ren and Lumashina. Ren wakes up tied next to Lumashina. Batuta reveals he's responsible for the village's curse, and everything he's done is to get revenge on Laminitus. Diablo arrives and disrupts Batuta's plans. They engage in a fight, evenly matched due to their similar skill levels. Batuta stabs Diablo in the heart and believes he's killed him, but Diablo survives and makes Batuta lose an arm. Batuta orders his companion to kill Ren, but Shera stops her before she can harm Ren. Horn frees Ren and Lumashina, and Batuta attacks Diablo. However, Diablo counters and defeats Batuta. Then, we see Laminitus attacked by a demon named Veracnus, who tells her he'll come for her on the next full moon. Afterward, Diablo saves the girls using his flight magic, but he notices that Lumashina is infected with clamor, a disease she can't cure herself. Diablo tells Lumashina not to give up due to a curse. He says she can't die until she ends the church's corruption. Diablo decides to go to the dungeon Horn mentioned because there's something that can cure Lumashina there. They head to the dungeon, but Laminitus interrupts them with her army. Lumashina tells Laminitus that Diablo is not humanity's enemy and that they're heading to a dungeon to cure clamor. Laminitus wants to capture them, and Diablo uses his magic to escape. Later, we see the assassin who wanted to kill Lumashina with Laminitus, telling her he came to protect Lumashina. Laminitus tells her that it's unnecessary because she's with someone who calls himself the Demon Lord. Later, we see that Diablo and the girls have arrived at the dungeon. The dungeon is full of traps and mazes. Later on, they have to answer questions to avoid falling into lava. After that, they have to perform an idol concert for some monkeys to proceed. They continue, and later, the assassin from before appears, saying he will kill Lumashina. Horn pushes him, and both of them fall into a dangerous river. Diablo jumps to rescue her. Diablo manages to save Horn but loses his staff. Diablo takes the wet robe from Horn, thinking she's a boy, but realizes that Horn is actually a girl. Horn wakes up and misunderstands Diablo. Diablo explains that he saved her and removed her wet clothes to prevent her from getting sick. Horn thanks him for saving her and tells him a bit about her life. We learn that she's been living alone since she was very young. Later, Diablo wants to catch up to the girls before they face the dungeon's strongest boss, a black dragon. The girls reach the 12th floor and see that Gewalt, the assassin, is there. Gewalt notices that Diablo isn't with them and summons firebees to attack them. Ren tries to counter but can't hurt Gewalt. Gewalt thinks he has the advantage, but the black dragon appears. Gewalt decides to confront the dragon, summoning the supreme fire invocation. However, the black dragon easily defeats the invocation and hits Gewalt. Lumashina saves Gewalt from death, and the black dragon wants to kill them. Diablo arrives and stops it. With 2 moves, Diablo defeats the black dragon. The dragon tries to escape, but a girl stops it and kills the dragon. Diablo remembers seeing her before and says he's glad to see her again. The girl's name is Rose, and she's excited to see Diablo, as she recalls he's the creator of the dungeon. Rose leads them to the treasure and Lumashina's cure. Rose appears to have feelings for Diablo. Ren asks Diablo who she is, and Rose gets angry. She asks if she can kill Ren. Diablo tells them to stop fighting and focus on the mission. Lumashina receives the cure and removes the marks from her leg. Later, everyone receives new outfits except Shera. She complains, and Diablo gives her a ring. Rose is jealous that Diablo gives his treasures to the girls and gives something precious to Rose. Rose tells them that a demon's army is headed to the Tower of Zircon, and the city is in danger of being destroyed. Diablo goes to the city to fight, and Laminitus and her army are fighting against the fallen. Veracnus arrives with his harem, looking for Laminitus. She refuses and shoots him. Just when it seems Laminitus killed Veracnus, a girl from his harem kisses him, and he regenerates. He tells one of his girls to attack Laminitus. The demon manages to hurt her and kills all her soldiers. Just as the demon is about to kill Laminitus, Diablo arrives to save her. Ren and Shera kill some demons nearby. Rose is also there and kills many demons. She says she didn't want to kill them so quickly. Lumashina is healing the wounded while Diablo talks to Laminitus. He drinks some potions and goes towards Veracnus. A demon girl attacks Diablo, but he counters and kills her. Veracnus is surprised, and Diablo easily kills him. Ren and Shera embrace, and everyone celebrates Diablo's victory. Later, Diablo is at a feast held by Laminitus to thank him for saving the town. Diablo realizes that Horn is missing. Later, we see adventurers attacking Horn for the reward they were promised. Horn tells them that she has no reward, and even if she did, she wouldn't give it to them. The adventurers mock Diablo and his team, but Horn defends them and calls the adventurers garbage. However, Diablo appears and saves her. At night, Laminitus enters Diablo's room and asks him to stay longer in the tower. Laminitus tries to seduce Diablo, but he manages to escape from her. The next morning, Diablo is with the girls in the city. Lumashina wants to visit the church in the city, but Ren tells her it's not safe for her to go there. Emily appears and offers to be Lumashina's bodyguard. Lumashina agrees to let him protect her, but Sylvie arrives and tells her that she can't do 2 missions at once. Sylvie tells Diablo that Edelgard works at a bakery, so Diablo goes to see her. Clem appears and says she likes cookies. We see that Clem also works at the bakery. Later, Celestine appears, and Diablo asks her why she's there. She says she can't leave the city and came only for tea. Some guys enter the shop and mistreat Clem's boss. They try to sell something at an expensive price, but accidentally break Clem's cookie. Clem hits all 3 of them and says she won't kill them because her master ordered her not to. Clem asks who they were, and her boss tells her they were from the Mismos family, a criminal organization that extorts money from shops. Clem says that if the shop closes, she won't be able to eat cookies anymore and that she wants to kill them. Later, we see the same guys reporting what happened to their boss. Diablo goes to the Mismos family mansion. The guards attack him, but Diablo easily defeats them. Then a man called Scarface appears and tries to hit Clem, but she defeats him easily. Diablo asks a guard where Mismos is. They find him and Mismos asks them which organization they work for. Clem says she came for revenge and attacks, but Diablo tries to stop her, and Clem only burns Mismos' hair. Everyone wants to kill Mismos until Edelgard tells Clem that Mismos should apologize. Diablo agrees, and Mismos apologizes, saying he'll do good from now on. Clem tells him that if she finds out he's lying, she'll kill him. Later, they return to the bakery, and Galford appears. Diablo asks him what he wants, and Galford says he didn't come for him but for Clem, as she has raised suspicions in the city. Ren tells him that Clem is just a kid, and Galford says he knows. He never goes by appearances alone, and he'll conduct an investigation at the military facilities. Diablo asks if he wants to fight him again, and Galford says he'd prefer to avoid it, but he can't entirely rule out the presence of demons or fallen in the city. But Clem's boss appears and tells them that the Mismos family won't bother them anymore and left money as an apology. Galford then says that no demon or fallen could earn the gratitude of many citizens, so he rules out Clem as a demon or fallen and leaves. Later, Diablo and his group head to the capital to go to the church that Lumashina wants to visit. They arrive at the capital and are surrounded by guards. Diablo thinks they might have to fight, but Alicia appears and lets them into the capital. They all enter the castle in the center of the capital. Alicia tells them to use the place until they want to leave the capital. Ren thanks her for letting them stay but says they don't have much money to pay for their stay. Alicia says not to worry, she'll cover everything, and she'd even buy the entire building if Diablo wanted her to. Rose asks Alicia what kind of relationship she has with Diablo, and Alicia says that if Diablo asked her to die, she would. Rose asks if she can recognize her as a position of her master Diablo, and Alicia agrees. Later, everyone is eating, and Shera says she can't eat anymore. Horn says she can't eat anymore, but she needs to do it to become stronger. Diablo tells her not to strain herself and that he can help her in various ways. Rose suggests that she can help Horn become stronger if Diablo agrees. Rose proposes that if Horn wears a treasure around her neck, she can make a pact with Diablo to become his servant and become stronger. Horn agrees, but Ren points out that if Diablo dies, his servants will also die. Rose responds that there shouldn't be a problem since her master is very strong and it's impossible for him to die. She says that their servants will also become very strong. Ren warns Horn that once the pact is made, there's no turning back. She asks what Horn would do if she wants to get a job or get married with the collar on her neck. This is when Ren, Shera, and Horn contemplate marrying Diablo. Rose realizes this and suggests that they shouldn't do it, and she removes the collar. Later, Alicia tells Diablo that she has prepared rooms for each of them and apologizes if the rooms are not to their liking. Diablo says the rooms are fine and asks Alicia if she's aware of the current situation. Alicia confirms and asks if she can get a little closer. Diablo agrees, and Alicia sits next to him. Alicia mentions that they came to the capital for Lumashina. Diablo confirms, and Alicia reveals that the capital's king hasn't discovered yet that she attempted to resurrect the demon lord. Diablo catches her up on what happened while she wasn't with them. Alicia explains that she can gather evidence of the church's corruption, but it would be useless since the kingdom can't interfere in the church's internal affairs. She proposes that Diablo uses his power to kill them all, getting very emotional, but then she apologizes for it. Alicia promises to do her best to investigate the church and leaves the room. Later, we see Ren, Horn, and Shera sleeping together. Diablo wakes up and sees Rose staring at him. Rose tells Diablo that she needs to recharge her mana since she hasn't done so since leaving the dungeon, and her mana is now at 30%. Diablo asks what he can do to help, and Rose suggests physical contact to recharge her mana. Diablo asks what he needs to do, and Rose undresses, saying that part of her body needs to touch his to receive mana. Diablo touches her, recharging her to 120%, and Rose falls asleep. The next day, Alicia shows them the church's economic transactions from the past few years and evidence of their corrupt actions. Diablo asks how she obtained all of this, and Alicia reveals that she bribed the White Masks, a group of believers who are allowed to enter the sanctuary. Alicia explains that according to the documents, Vicious used donation funds for personal expenses and, similarly to how he tried to kill Lumashina, he killed others who opposed him. Alicia tells Diablo that the law can't punish them even with all this evidence. Diablo suggests he'll have to fight them. Lumashina proposes that she try to confront them and force them to resign. Diablo agrees to let her attempt it. Later, they head to the church. When they arrive, a group of believers start praying when they see them. Vicious appears and says they were waiting for him. Lumashina accuses Vicious of sending the paladin Gewalt to kill her and presents evidence against him. She also accuses him of their corrupt actions and excommunicates them. Vicious denies it and orders his men to capture them. Diablo suggests fighting, but Lumashina doesn't want bloodshed in the church. Diablo destroys part of the church to make a way for them. As they ascend, they're trapped, and Vicious tells Lumashina to wait in a room for her execution. Later, we see Horn packing her things and crying for not being able to save her friends. A girl appears from a treasure Horn had and offers to help her level up in exchange for her blood. She says she tried Horn's blood. Horn recalls that when she was in the dungeon, she urinated on the treasure, but the goddess thinks it was blood, so Horn pretends that it was her blood. The goddess then attempts to level her up, but it doesn't work, and Horn yells at her, calling her a charlatan. The goddess says she doesn't know why it didn't work, and Horn thinks it's because she didn't give her blood. The goddess suggests another way and tells Horn to put on the treasure that Rose planned to give her earlier. Horn says she doesn't mind shortening her life and puts on the collar. Later, the group is in their cell, and Diablo doesn't want to escape out of respect for Lumashina. Later, Horn enters the church and confronts two guards. She uses her new enchantment power to make the guards reveal where her friends are. Shera starts to get hungry, and they hear Horn's voice. However, a guard appears and summons a creature to attack Horn. Diablo emerges from his cell and heals Horn. Ren summons a creature and defeats the guard's summon. Diablo thanks Horn for helping him see the truth, and they start to fight. The guard attacks Diablo, but he summons a giant rock and defeats him. Afterward, Diablo presents himself in the sky as a villain in front of all the believers. He challenges them to stop him and tells them to bring the closest person to God, intending for Lumashina to step forward. She does, and Diablo expects her to attack him to be recognized as a heroine. However, Lumashina doesn't understand the plan and accepts Diablo's offer to kill them all. Diablo doesn't want to do it. Then, we see that Vicious had a monster under the church to use to kill God. Vicious emerges with the monster and attacks Diablo. Diablo dodges his attack, and Rose reveals that the monster named Europa is above level 200. Diablo attacks, but the monster has a protective barrier. Lumashina confronts Vicious about his corruption, and he attacks her. Diablo saves her and asks Lumashina to cast a spell to nullify magic. Then, we see the believers praying, and one says that if Vicious were a god, he wouldn't destroy the sanctuary. He believes in Lumashina because she never did anything bad against the sanctuary and church. Lumashina completes her spell, and she attacks Vicious. They clash, and Vicious repels her attack. The other believers join in, giving Lumashina more power. She breaks Vicious's protective barrier, and Diablo urges her to attack. She does, and Diablo defeats Vicious with all his power. Later, Ren encounters the assassin who wanted to kill her before. He tells her he's no longer a paladin and owes Lumashina a favor for saving his life. Diablo disguises himself as a god and delivers a speech to the believers. They believe him, and Diablo flies away. Lumashina becomes the highest-ranking priestess in the church and frees her friend who she believed had died. Later, Lumashina gives Diablo a lot of money to use for their travels. Diablo accepts, and Lumashina asks about Rose. Diablo assures her that Rose is fine and will recover soon. Lumashina asks Diablo to stay and be the leader of the paladins, but Diablo refuses, saying he's not what the church needs. Later, Diablo takes a bath after a long and complicated day. Shera and Ren find him, expressing concern, and Diablo suggests they take a bath in the nearby bathtubs. Shera and Ren misunderstand and bathe with him. Later, they're returning to their kingdom, and Horn stays in the capital with Alicia and Lumashina to further strengthen her magic. Later, Shera tells Diablo that the ring he gave her in the dungeon is an engagement ring, and now he's engaged to her. Rem asks Diablo if he can give her a ring too, and Diablo says that he obtained that ring on a mission. Shera adds that she asks Sylvie for a mission to find another ring like that one to give to Ren. Ren is happy, and Diablo accepts the mission. And that's how the first season of this anime ends. If you've reached this part of the video, let me tell you that you've been one of the few people to make it this far. So comment the word Demon King in the comments. Remember to subscribe to not miss any videos. With that said, see you in the next video.